So, the most surprising deal at the NBA trade deadline has to be Kristaps Porzingis going to the Wizards. I mean, I don't think anyone saw this coming. So, the trade is that the Wizards get Kristaps Porzingis and a second round pick, and the Mavericks get Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. And straight away, I just don't really understand this from the Mavericks' point of view. To me, they're trading a better player for two worse players, and I don't really see any other benefits. Some people have brought up that this could be a salary dump. And while Porzingis does make a lot of money, Bertans and Dinwiddie make just as much combined. So this season, Porzingis makes $31.7 million. Next season, he makes $33.8 million. And then the final year of his contract, he makes $36 million, but it's a player option. But let's assume that he takes that. Well, this year Bertans makes $16 million, then $16 million, then $17 million, then $16 million. And then for Dinwiddie, this year he makes $17 million, then $18 million, then $18.8 million. So for the next 3 years, Dinwiddie and Bertans are making about the same as Porzingis, if not a bit more. And then in the last year of Bertans' contract, Porzingis' and Dinwiddie's contract will already be up, and the Mavs will have to pay him $16 million. So to me, that just makes no sense, and it's not a salary dump because they're taking on more salary for a longer amount of time. If we talk about the players involved, for the Mavs, this is just a really lackluster return. I mean, Bertans can't even get in the Wizards rotation. He's averaging 15 minutes a game this season, shooting 32% from three on six points a game this year. And he's not a good defender at all. He's one of the worst defenders in the NBA. The only thing I can see is that he is a 40% career three-point shooter, so maybe they think he'll get back up there, but the contract for someone who's a terrible defender and who doesn't do anything else offensively apart from the shoot threes and is a 32% three-point shooter this year is just really poor. And Dinwiddie, I think when he was healthy, he was a really good player. And he is coming off a massive injury, so he might need some time to adjust. But this year, he's averaging 12.5 points a game, 6 assists, 5 rebounds on just really rough efficiency, 38% from the field and 31% from three. And I think the only thing Dinwiddie, if he is healthy, I think, and if he does get back to a bit more of his former self, he can help the Mavs in some ways because he is a secondary ball handler and he can give them some playmaking. But he's not really a shooter, so he doesn't really fit that well with Luka. And Luka's going to have the ball most of the time. And plus, the Mavericks already have Jalen Brunson, who is just better than Spencer Dinwiddie. So that doesn't really make sense to me. And overall, I just don't really understand where the Mavs are going here. The only thing I could maybe think of was if they know they can move Bertans in the offseason and they believe in Dinwiddie. So then it's sort of just like they'll have Dinwiddie instead of Porzingis for the next couple of years, and then they'll try and move on for Bertans. Or maybe they believe they can revitalize Bertans and Dinwiddie, but it seems unlikely to me, and it seems like a bit of a head-scratching decision. And they had to add the pick. When I first reported Porzingis to the Wizards and I saw Dinwiddie and Bertans, I was like, how many first-round picks are the Wizards throwing in? But yeah, no picks going to the Mavericks, and it's just a bit confusing. And, even though Porzingis has had his problems with the Mavs, mainly health problems, it has to be a bit disappointing for the Mavericks, given that they gave up 2 first-round picks for him, and he was the guy to pair with Luka. If we talk about Porzingis, I think the health is one of the biggest reasons they're doing this. He just hasn't been healthy for extended periods of time, only played 34 games this season. In those games, he's been decent. He's averaging 19 points a game, 7.7 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks. His three-point shooting this year is way down, only 28%, but he was at 38% last year, and he's a 35% career three-point shooter. I just think he's a player who, when healthy, can be really impactful. He is very inconsistent. He is very injured, but it's not like they got a great return for him. And then from the Wizards side of things, this is a great deal, in my opinion, to get off Bertans and Dinwiddie's contracts. Bertans, maybe the worst contract in the league, to be honest, just paying a guy who can't really do much of anything apart from shoot inconsistently that much. And in Porzingis, they get a guy who, if he's healthy, could really be that second star next to Bradley Beal, who is out for the rest of the season. So for the rest of this season, I would expect them to take a step back and try and get a higher pick. And then next year, I mean, after this year, Porzingis only has 2 years left on his contracts. And if he is healthy, he could be an impactful player for them. Offensively, posting up, it's not great most of the time because he turns it into tough mid-rangers, but he's still very tall and he can still get a seal on a guy, or when he gets deep position, it's a bit better. I believe in his 3-point shooting being better than 28%, and he can spot up. I think he can play well with Beal. I don't see much overlap in their games, so it seems like something that would work out. The Wizards also have a ton of front court players who they could place around Porzingis for lineups where Porzingis is at center with guys like Kuzma and Rui Hachimura and Deni Avdija, or it can play power forward if a guy like Thomas Bryant or Daniel Gafford is at center. So I think the Wizards have a bit of flexibility with Porzingis, and even if he is on and off injured like he has been basically his whole career, they just got off 2 bad contracts and they got a second round pick. So to me, for the Wizards, they definitely won this trade. I'd give them an A. And for the Mavs, I'm just a bit confused, to be honest. Maybe there's something where, I think the most likely scenario is they believe in Dinwiddie and they believe he can be the secondary ball handler. And then they think they can get off Bertans, or maybe they think Davis Bertans can start shooting really well from 3 again around Luka. Who knows? And then it also brings up the question of Jalen Brunson's free agency. He's a free agent this offseason, and they're going to have trouble retaining him. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Do they bring him back, and it's Luka and Dinwiddie and Brunson, 3 guards making a ton of your money, plus Tim Hardaway Jr. also on a big contract? Or do they let him leave? And in that case, they've just lost Porzingis and Brunson, their second and third best players, for basically nothing, if not some bad contracts. So really don't understand this from the Mavericks side of things. Maybe in the they still have time to prove me wrong in the off season, but it seems pretty strange to trade someone who, when healthy, is one of your best players when you're a 5 seed in the West with a superstar in Luka Doncic for 2 players who I'd consider bad contracts, especially Bertans. So we'll see what happens, but don't really understand this from the Mavs' point of view. Anyways, thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe to this channel for more NBA content.